Are you interested in getting started with the Raspberry Pi but not sure where to begin? Do you have a Raspberry Pi Zero W but don't know what to do with it? You can start right here. I've been making Raspberry Pi tutorials for years, and a typical setup assumes that you have a monitor, keyboard, mouse, and power supply. In this video, we are going to skip all of that. I'll show you how to set up a Raspberry Pi Zero W or Zero 2W using just your Windows or Mac laptop. Your computer becomes a monitor, keyboard, mouse. This is also known as a headless setup. If you're new here, my name is Caroline. I make Raspberry Pi tutorials and DIY tech videos that are meant to be practical and easy to follow. If this helped you, please subscribe, like it, and check out the rest of my channel. All you'll need is a Raspberry Pi Zero W, a USB cable, your internet connection, and your computer. This tutorial is totally beginner friendly and uses the new Raspberry Pi Imager 2.0 to make setup super simple. The items you'll need for this project include your Raspberry Pi Zero W or Zero 2W. You'll need a MicroSD card as well, and you'll need a way to power your Pi. I'm going to use a micro USB to USB cable, and it's going to be powered by the USB port on my laptop. You can just plug it in here. Another option is to power it from a power bank charger with a USB slot. That's another option. To format my micro SD card, you can get a SD card reader and then insert your card into the SD card reader and then plug it into a USB port, just like this. Or my computer has a micro SD card slot right on it, and I can just insert it and then I will plug it in. And those are the items you'll need for this project. Now check this out. First of all, I'm going to encourage you to create a Connect Raspberry Pi account. It is totally free to create an account with Raspberry Pi Connect, and all you have to do is go to connect.raspberrypi.com. I will link down below if you need that, and it will ask you to log in or create a login for free, and all you need is an email and a password, accept terms and conditions, and be human. And I am going to sign in to my Raspberry Pi Connect account, and if you don't have any devices, it will be blank. No worries here. Next, let's go to raspberrypi.com/software. This is where you're going to download the Raspberry Pi Imager. You can download it for Windows or for Mac, either way, and then you install it just like you would any other program. And just to show you, I've already downloaded it here, and it's a .exe file, so all you have to do is hit yes, and it will start installing itself on your computer. Now, I've already done that, so I'm just going to open my Raspberry Pi Imager here, and I'm going to hit yes, and my microSD card is already inserted. When your Raspberry Pi Imager comes up, you will select your device. Now for this tutorial, we are using a Raspberry Pi Zero W. So I've got a Zero W, but if you've got Zero 2W, you would click on that. I'm going to click on Raspberry Pi Zero, hit next. Operating system, and it's recommended that I do the 32-bit, so I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to hit next. I'm going to select my micro SD card I just inserted, hit next. I want to identify my Raspberry Pi, so I'm going to call it a Raspberry Pi Zero W. All right, and hit next. Select your capital city of the country that you're in. I'm in the US, so I'm going to select Washington, D.C. Time zone, I'm on the East Coast time zone, Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to hit New York. And then layout, I am using a US keyboard. And I'm going to select that, and I'm going to hit next. So you would select the one that's most applicable to you. This is really important here. Choose a username and a password that you can remember. True story, I went to a meetup one night. Somebody set theirs up right before they came to the meetup. In the time they set it up that afternoon to the time they got to the meetup, they completely forgot their password. So please do set up something you can remember. All right, so I've got mine in there. Username, you could choose any username. Default used to be Pi a long time ago. Choose admin, choose your name, choose your password, and hit next. Now you want to enter in your Wi-Fi name and your Wi-Fi password. That is the first Wi-Fi that it is looking for when it boots up, okay? So this is like your home Wi-Fi, whatever Wi-Fi you're on right now. I'm gonna hit next. Then I want to enable SSH. SSH is secure shell, and I do want to use password authentication, and that's the password I just typed in. 2 previous steps. Do I want to enable Raspberry Pi Connect? Why, yes I do. Just created a login, or just logged in on my computer here, so I'm going to hit Open Raspberry Pi Connect, and it should open up that browser where I am logged into my Raspberry Pi Connect. and I'm going to hit create authorization key. I'm going to open the RPI imager back, and then I actually have to go back to that, and then there should be an authentication token, and then I'm going to hit next. Is it ready to get configured? I think it is, so I'm going to hit right. I want to understand that it erases the entire microSD card. Okay, keep that in mind. You won't have anything, if you had some pictures or something stored on it, you won't have that anymore. So pick a microSD card that you are okay about writing over, or at least get your pictures off of it before you start this process. I hit yes, I understand, erase. This is going to take a few minutes, so I will be right back. And I have completed flashing my microSD card, and I'm going to click on finish. And I'm done flashing my micro SD card, so I'm going to eject it out of the little card slot here. On my Raspberry Pi Zero, insert the micro SD card into the slot of my Raspberry Pi Zero W. Traditionally, you can use the first micro USB to power on this Pi, and then you can plug in your USB to either a power bank charger or to one of the ports on your computer to power up this Pi. In a future video, I'm going to use it as a USB gadget, and it has to be plugged into the second one. So let's just go ahead and do that now. Just for fun, I'm going to plug it into a power bank charger, and that's how I'm going to power my Raspberry Pi. It's going to take a few minutes, especially on a first boot, to get powered up, to get booted up, and then to get on my Wi-Fi. So I'll be right back. We have allowed our Raspberry Pi Zero to boot up, and let's refresh our connect.raspberrypi.com to see if it's come up. And yes, it has come up. Excellent. Okay, so now we're going to connect via, we have a choice of screen sharing or remote shell. Let's do screen sharing first. And I do want to warn you, this is excruciatingly slow. This is a Pi Zero W. It does not have nearly the processing power of what you see on a Raspberry Pi 4 or a 5, and that's, why those are more expensive. But we're going to try to make this work anyway, and we're going to look at the default desktop of a Raspberry Pi Zero W. But yes, it is loading extremely slowly. And so this is the default desktop. Hopefully our Wi-Fi will come up here in a second. It is on the Wi-Fi because otherwise I wouldn't be able to connect. We'll cover another way to connect in a future video. I just want to show you kind of around the Raspberry Pi Zero W. So there's a file manager. You can look at what files are on this Raspberry Pi. And we have desktop files, documents, downloads, music. There's really not much in here right now. If I were to double click on documents, yeah, there's nothing in there. So that's just a default, which you get. If I try to open up this web browser here, I don't think it will even open, to be honest, but we'll give that a shot. The hardware on the system is unable to be able to open the web browser. I'm going to click on this Raspberry Pi icon here, and I'll expose the menu options available. So programming, Geany is available. So let's open up Geany, and let's see where that goes. And that should work, but it is, of course, excruciatingly slow. And here we go. We've got Geany opened up. Make that full screen. And I'm going to do a little Python code print. I'm going to do a hello world. And then I'm going to hit save. Saving it as hello.py. Hit enter to save. And let's go over to our run button, the paper plane icon. And I'm going to run the file. And there we go. It says hello world. And it is done. And that's the entire program that did run correctly. Hit enter to continue. Yeah, we have a desktop. We have the Raspberry Pi Zero W working. I'm going to hit disconnect and get out of there. Now, the more efficient way to access your Raspberry Pi Zero W is to connect via remote shell, and this is SSH. And I will open that up right now. And that should load up just a little faster. And I'm going to ls, and I'm going to see that hello file I just created. I'm going to type in Python hello.py and run that. And there it is, hello world. And it works again. Now, there's another thing I did that was kind of fun. This is not a requirement of this tutorial, but you can, if it's connected to the internet, which it is, can clone a GitHub repository. For example, I've got terminal games, and I created this on my GitHub, and I will link to it below if you want to try this out yourself. And I've got some terminal games I've created, and we will go back to the terminal on our Raspberry Pi, and I will hit paste, and I've given you the entire code here, git clone and the link, and hit enter. And then it should copy over all of the files. There are 2 games on here. I'm going to ls that cd terminal-games, see what's in there, ls, and you can see I have 2 Python files that you can try out. And I'm going to run Python, rock, paper, scissors, and it asks me to choose rock, paper, scissors, lizard, or Spock. I'm going to choose Spock, hit enter. And it's a tie. Okay. The other game I have is numberguess.py, Python number guess, to run the file. And I'm thinking of a number between 1 and 10. I'm going to hit 5, too low, try again. Okay, I want to hit 7, too low, 9. Congratulations, you guessed it in 3 tries. There we go. So that was a short little demo of using the Raspberry Pi Zero W in a remote shell. For my Raspberry Pi Zero W, I'm going to use my Chromebook as the monitor, the keyboard, mouse, and power source. And I'm going to plug in using the USB port on my Chromebook. I'm going to plug in my Pi Zero W and power it on. And our Raspberry Pi Zero W has powered up, and it's available on our Chromebook. And you can connect via screen sharing or remote shell. Now, screen sharing is going to be quite a bit slower than on a Raspberry Pi 4 or any other device. It's just not got that processing power, but it still does work, although be it very slowly. And I'll hit enter full screen. And here's the Raspberry Pi Zero W, and I can open the menu on a Raspberry Pi, as well as I can open the file manager. And here's the file manager. I would recommend using the connect via remote shell as a better option. And let's run Python hello py, and it's a hello world. To use our iPad as a controller, mouse, keyboard, monitor for our Raspberry Pi Zero W, we will connect the micro USB to the first port on the Raspberry Pi, and then we will use a converter for a USB to USB-C, and then we'll plug in the USB-C into the port on the iPad, and you'll see the Raspberry Pi Zero start to come up and power on. And there it is. That's it. Your Raspberry Pi Zero is now set up without a monitor, keyboard, or a mouse. My name is Caroline. I make Raspberry Pi tutorials and DIY tech videos that are meant to be practical and easy. If this helped you, please like and subscribe and check out the rest of my channel. And if you're using a Raspberry Pi 4 or 5 instead, check out the previous video where I walk through a setup designed specifically for those models. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye now.